Your Cincinnati Reds are 4 games over 500. They've won 4 series in a row, and that just leaves us one question. Are these Reds the real Reds? We're going to answer it on today's Locked On Reds.
You are Locked On Reds, your daily Cincinnati Reds podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into the Locked On Reds podcast. My name is Jeff Carr. His name is Steve Offenbaker, and we are lifelong Cincinnati Reds fans that have been covering the Cincinnati Reds in podcast form for a combined 14 seasons now. We're glad that you're alongside us here today. Locked On Reds is part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team, your Cincinnati Reds, every single day. And on today's show, we are going to get into Chase Burns' latest masterpiece later on in the show. Nick Martinez has been a very stable part of the Cincinnati Reds rotation, and he looks to continue that as the Reds go for the sweep here on Juneteenth today. We'll get to that in just a few minutes, but we want to begin with everybody's question. What's on everybody's mind right now? Can we trust what we are seeing from this Cincinnati Reds team? That's all coming up on today's Locked On Reds podcast that is brought to you by GameTime. Download the GameTime app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONMLB to save $20 off your first purchase. Steve, this Reds team, man, the trends are good. The everything is looking up, and I believe we can trust this because we've been telling everybody this is going to happen since January.
We have been. This team is doing exactly what we predicted, expected, asked of them. 4 games over 500 right now through this stretch is actually better than what we asked of them, and guys are getting hot. I want to start right up front with Spencer Steer, who I think has come all the way around now, Jeff. You look at him at the plate right now, he's a whole different guy than he was at the beginning of this season when he was pushing through injury and trying to get his shoulder right and just doing whatever he could do to help the team out. He looks good. He had that big home run in last night's rain-shortened affair. He looks really, really good. Batting average up above 200. He's at 225 after yesterday's game. OPS of 631. The numbers are trending up. That's exactly what we want to see, and we're seeing it at the right time from Spencer Steer.
And everything was hard contact, quick swings. He's quick through the zone. This was something that early on in the season we were concerned about because he had a slow swing. It looked like he wasn't able to catch up to fastballs. Now he's clobbering them, and he's hitting screaming line drives whenever they're not home run balls. He is looking every bit the part of the guy that we want to count on, that we said is the mashed potatoes of this lineup. He's getting back into that mashed potato-y goodness. A little bit of lumps in there for sure, but some people like it with a few lumps in there.
I forgot you were calling him the mashed potatoes of this team. I forgot about that. Listen, Jeff, six total bases last night. He not only had the home run, but followed that up with a double. So 6 total bases, 2 for 3 last night. Great outing. Great performance for Spencer Steer.
Not to be outdone, Matty McLain looking great at the plate, looking great with the glove. He made a couple of plays last night, including in that all crucial top of the 5th inning where the Reds needed to get 3 outs as quickly as they possibly could. There was a ball that was way over to his left that he had to range over a lot to get to, pick it up and throw on the run. Didn't have time to slow down, square up, and go. He had to throw while moving. Made a perfect throw easily for Spencer Steer to be able to tag out, I believe, Ty France, who hit that ground ball. But he is making play after play in the field, and he's coming up with timely hits at the plate like he did when he went oppo for a nice little RBI single to play add-on, gave the Reds their 4th run in this one.
There's another guy I think that we should take just a minute and really spend some time shouting out, and I'll get to him in just a second, just to pique everyone's interest. But to your point on Matt McLain, he's near the Mendoza line now, and I know there's going to be people rolling their eyes. Oh, he's almost hitting 200. Big deal. He's come a long way, and he just looks better. He is having better at bats. He's playing good defensively. Matt McLain's turning a corner also. All of the things are coming together, Jeff, and they're all coming together at the same time. A guy that has been with it, though, all season long, a guy that has had it together since day one of this season is in the catcher's room, José Treviño. Yes. 2 for 3 last night. He's hitting a cool, crisp 304 on the season, Jeff, and that is with a lot of playing time. His OPS, 846. He has been getting it done. He has been getting it done since day one. What a luxury that this Reds team has right now in having both Treviño perform the way that he's performing and Tyler Stevenson turning a corner and getting hot. You look at those two guys together, it doesn't matter which one of them is behind the plate. You're going to have good offense and production from the catcher position. And the fact that it lets you throw Tyler out there at DH and keep that bat in the lineup without just wearing him down come September, October, this is a real advantage for the Reds if they can push on into the postseason.
Look, we've been asking some hard questions of Nick Krall so far this season, and we're going to continue to as we head into the trade deadline. But it is clear this is a big time win. I know that Fernando Cruz has dealt with some injuries since showing up in New York, and José Treviño has been far more valuable than I think Fernando Cruz would have been had he been here and healthy. Like, I think José Treviño was such a huge win of a trade, and the fact that they were able to lock him up for a couple more years past his initial season after being acquired, I think ultimately that was a great move. And all of these guys, when you put this all together, you're talking about him. He's been here for all the season. Ellie, he's been amazing all season, and he's really starting to get going now. Although these last couple of games, he's kind of cooled off just a little bit, but I mean, even just cooling him off a little bit, it's like a cup of hot coffee and you put one ice cube in it, whatever. I'm expecting a big day from him on Thursday. I think it's the key of these other guys coming up. And we mentioned Matt McLain. I mean, let's consider this through the first 2 weeks of May. So from the beginning of the season through the first 2 weeks of May, he was looking awful. $187 batting average, his weighted runs created plus, OPS plus, basically the same thing. He was 20% below league average, and he had a 31% strikeout rate. I mean, he has flipped the script now when you take the rest of that time. So from May 18th all the way through yesterday, he's cut that strikeout percentage down by 5%, and he's actually been so much better at the plate. I think overall we're talking about a dude that we can once again start to rely on. There's still a few more parts of his game you like to see a little bit more extra base power that need to kind of come along a little bit, but ultimately this is what we were hoping for from Matt McLain.
Yeah, and there's another guy we should talk about also, and that's on the pitching side of things. That's Nick Lodolo, who actually, per the rules, gets credit for a complete game last night. He throws 6 innings, allows 2 runs on 3 hits, strikes out 4, walks 2, did give up the 1 home run. On the season, Jeff, he has looked not himself, but he has muscled through. He has powered through, right? He's now 15 starts into the season. This was his 15th start on the year. He's 5-5 with a 3.71 ERA. In those 15 starts, he's struck out 74 while only walking 18. It hasn't been the overpowering back foot breaker, make you look silly Nick Lodolo, but that's a good major league starting pitcher. 15 starts, 3.71 ERA, 85 innings pitched, struck out 74 dudes, whips 1.11. It's not ace 1B, but that's a major league starting pitcher.
Right. And I think that, our analysis or my analysis, because you and I talked about it and then StreamYard kind of crapped out on us and then it was just me solo yesterday. But my analysis when it came to Nick Lodolo was he's not ace 1B, which is our expectation. We expect him to be one of the best pitchers on the staff, but he has been good. And the one thing that he's doing right now that is not really necessarily quantifiable, but you can just see it on the mound, is that he doesn't have his best curveball, but he is still able to not beat himself with the walks, to not put extra guys on base. And sure, every so often he's going to give up a hard contact or two, maybe a home run here or there, like he gave up to Byron Buxton to start this game, but it's going to be a solo shot. It's not going to be something that puts him behind the 8 ball. And he does a great job of keeping his team in the ballgame. So even while he is kind of struggling to get back to the level that we know he can be at, he is still a good pitcher. He's not a great pitcher, but he's a good pitcher. He's also not a bad pitcher either. Like that's the difference here. We're not talking about get from bad to great. We're talking about good to great with Nick Lodolo.
Well, who else is good, Jeff, in this rotation? Nick Martinez has been pretty good. He's been a good pitcher for the Reds. He has an opportunity to go out there today and get the Reds yet another sweep. We're going to talk about Nick Martinez coming up next. Have you ever decided at the last minute to head down to the ballpark with some family or friends? Maybe it's game day and you suddenly realize you want to be in the stands. That's exactly where Game Time comes in. Jeff and I talk to you about Game Time all the time because we both use this app. We head down to the banks, we grab something to eat, we grab a couple drinks, and we start watching the Game Time app and watch those prices go down, down, down. When we think we hit the sweet spot, we grab our tickets, we head over to the ballpark, grab a couple beers, head to our seats. We are ready for the action. Game Time makes that possible. Game Time gives you all-in pricing. You know exactly what you're going to pay for your seats. No hidden fees, no surprises. And if you're going on the road, they have the view from your seat. You're going to know exactly where you're going to be sitting. So you can take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Again, create an account and redeem the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Make sure you are subscribed here on YouTube. Click the notification bell, click the like, click the subscribe. That way you don't miss any of the great Reds content we've got coming your way. Jeff and I with you on the mothership here Monday through Friday on the Locked On Reds podcast. Tim Daniel after each and every Reds game with the Reds postcast, plus whatever surprises we drop in the feed along the way. You'll get it all. Click subscribe. You'll be glad you did. All right, Jeff, talking about pitchers that haven't crossed into the threshold of great, but that have pitched pretty good. Nick Martinez is a guy that kind of fits that category. He's had some games that were he's had some games that not so good, and he's had some games that are very good, and you average all that out, he's a good dude to have in your rotation.
Every fifth day, you know you can count on him. I know I can count on Nick Martinez giving me no less than 5, maybe even 7 really solid innings. And it's all because of the same thing that we were talking about with Nick Lodolo. He doesn't beat himself. His walk rate has actually come up a bit from last year, from 3% to 5%. I know that's a huge jump, and that's something that is totally worries. I'm just messing. That's still a really good walk rate. League average is still 8.5%. He is still 3% below league average when it comes to walking guys.
And to break it down to that other number that I like to use all the time, walks per 9, strikeouts per 9. You know, you and I talked about the fact that we didn't think his 1.1 walks per 9 was a sustainable number going from 2024 to 2025. And you're absolutely right. It exploded. It's 2.0 now. 2 walks per 9 innings.
Right. And I love to see that number. The one thing that does concern me just a little bit is the strikeout percentage has steadily dropped the last couple of years. In 2023, he was at 23%. This year, he's at 17% of the batters that he is facing, he is striking out. So you would like to see that tick up a bit. And I think because of that, some numbers like FIP and XFIP aren't as bullish about his ERA. They actually say like his FIP is higher than his ERA, which means he's getting a little bit lucky. But that is his MO. His MO is making sure that the guys behind him get the ball in their glove because he misses the barrels and he puts the ball in a good position to get outs. So there will be some games, and I really hope that today is not this game. I'm not trying to put this out there. Maybe I should put this out there so that it's not this. But there's going to be some games where he gets BABIP'd, right? There's going to be those games where the ball just happens to find the hole and there's nothing you could do about it. Hopefully, we see not that many of them, if any at all, but that's kind of his MO is just the weak contact, just continuing to miss barrels because he's been very good at that. And
I want to quantify your FIP unlucky statement. It's not drastic, right? His ERA right now is 3.92. His FIP is 4.02. So it's not really that big of a swing. It's kind of right in line.
There's a big gap though between a 3 and a 4, even if it's 3.9 and 4.05 or something like that. Even
if his true ERA was at 4.02 right now, that's not a bad number 4 guy in your rotation. And that's what he is right now. He's a number 4 guy in this rotation, followed by Wade Miley pitching in the number 5 spot. So I'm perfectly fine with how he's performed. He's kept the Reds in most of the games that he's pitched. If you look at his last 5, Jeff, he's had a couple where it's got away from him and a couple where he's really, really good. You know, in the Arizona game, he pitched on June 7th. He went 6 innings and allowed 1 earned run. So he's got that in him. Now, I also recognize that against the Cubs, he got smacked around, managed to go 4 2/3 and gave up 5 runs on 5 hits. So it's a very typical number 4 starter type of numbers where he's not always going to overpower the other team, but on most days he's going to go out there and give the Cincinnati Reds an opportunity to be in the game, an opportunity to compete. And that's really all you ask for from the bottom of your rotation. These aren't the guys that are supposed to go out there and strike out 10 guys and get you free pizza, right? These are the guys that are supposed to go out there and just keep the team in the game and hope things go their way. And Nick Martinez has done a good job of that. I think we got a little spoiled by how he pitched last year, but I don't know that there is very many people out there that really, truly thought that type of performance was going to be sustainable into another year. He pitched the half season of his life and he got paid for it, and good for him. But he's still a good pitcher.
That was probably like, I almost see that being like one of those Moneyball scenes or something, like where Derek Johnson probably came into a bullpen session with Nick Martinez and was just like, you're a free agent at the end of this year. You could pitch your way into a contract. Now, I don't think that Derek Johnson thought he was going to pitch his way into the qualifying offer, but
$21 million, baby.
But and again, we don't begrudge Nick Martinez that. That was a weird decision by Nick Krall, but here he is, and he's providing the Reds with a decent bit of value. I will say this too, Steve, like his most recent start against Detroit kind of feels like the doomsday start. He gave up 3 home runs to the Tigers. He still only gave up 4 runs because he doesn't put extra guys on base. And even in that particular game, he had 2 walks. 2 walks feels like a bit of a rarity for him. He's usually 0-1. He does have a couple of starts, or just one start where it's 3 walks. But for the most part, it's keeping the walks low and keeping the damage minimal. He's able to really work around a lot of different damage. And I kind of think that he's due for a bounce back here against this Twins team. And it's going to be a little weird. We're going to see a different Twins lineup where the Reds have stayed lefty heavy for them these first 2 games of the series. What does this Twins lineup look like now? I mean, you will bring Trevor Larnach back into play. That's their big power threat. Like, I know that Buxton and Bader have been the 2 guys that we've worried about these first 2 games. Trevor Larnach's going to be the guy that Nick Martinez needs to worry about. And really us watching the game is going to be the guy we need to keep our eye on in this game. So if he can limit the damage that Larnach does to him, I think he's going to get out of this one. He's going to be pretty happy with the line that he's going to create on Thursday.
And can we talk about Harrison Bader for just a second? I mean, when the Reds went and picked him up, I thought brilliant. The things he does against the Reds, he's going to feast at Great American Ballpark. Turns out he just likes bashing the Cincinnati Reds. Doesn't have anything to really do with the ballpark per se. He just likes to beat up on the Reds. He's having quite a nice season up there for the Twins.
Listen, there is, it was at the end of the show yesterday. So in case anybody missed it, I want to clarify it by saying I'm pretty sure Harrison Bader's a nice guy. Guessing he, shops at reputable establishments and gives his money wisely. But for some reason, he played horribly as a Red, and he plays amazing against the Reds. So I don't really like him, and I hope that they hold him to an 0 for today.
So his time in Cincinnati, negative WAR,
5 for 31. Yeah.
0.3 negative WAR. Terrible stuff.
5 for 31 with a $161 in batting average, a double, 3 RBIs. He did have 3 steals. That was that weird, man. You remember that? That was that weird thing where the Reds got the waiver claim of him, and they got
the other guy that didn't do anything,
Hunter Renfroe. And neither one of those guys did a thing for
Neither
him.
one of those guys did.
I think they both showed up and they high-fived each other like, "Hey, look at this. We'll get paid for the rest of the year. All right, let's
I did want to make
I don't know.
Right. I did want to make one more point in regards to Nick Martinez. He's got a good advantage going for him tonight as well. I mean, obviously the Twins, same thing, but everybody got a day off in the bullpen. Nobody was up and throwing. Nobody had to pitch. Everybody got a day off. So bullpen is completely available.
The second complete game of the year for the Reds. It was a great day.
Hey, I'll take a complete game however they can get it. I mean, it's not as impressive as
it's a quality start and a complete
I'll take
game.
You gotta absolutely 100%. 100.
Well, I know this, Steve. That was a lot of fun to see the Reds get that series win. There was also a little bit of fun that happened down in Louisville before the game got going because Chase Burns absolutely shoved on Wednesday. Coffee, coffee. Now that I have your attention, you should drink Trade coffee because, quite frankly, sometimes getting up in the morning, coffee is the first thing on my mind, and Trade coffee has made that experience even better. There's a little bit of ritualistic feel to that first cup of coffee in the morning, and Trade coffee really gets that. Trade coffee sources different brews from all over the country. They got over 50 of the top roasters, and they're going to find the brew just for you because they got a quiz on their website. You go to drinktrade.com and you can take their quiz, take their flavor quiz, find out the coffee that best fits you. Go to drinktrade.com/LockedOnMLB right now. You'll save 50% off of a 1-month trial. Try them out. I think you're going to be just where I am, where I'm like, I don't need to go back to the grocery store to get some coffee. I got Trade coffee. That's drinktrade.com/LockedOnMLB to save half off a 1-month trial. Drink Trade coffee today. I promise you, you'll leave all the other coffees behind. Thanks for making Locked On Reds part of your everyday routine. If you can't watch us on YouTube, you can always listen to us on your favorite podcasting app. We're on all of them out there. And when you're done watching us here today, go check out Locked On MLB Game Night over on the Locked On MLB feed. They watch every game every night, so you don't have to. Speaking of every game every night, we also were keeping one eye, half an eye, peripheral vision on Louisville yesterday because Chase Burns was pitching. And my goodness, did he shove an absolute stunner of a performance. And it's got me thinking, like, I keep going back and forth on this. I think what's best for him and what's best for the team is that they slow play his call up, because that means that they didn't have a bunch of injuries, that they needed to pull him up earlier than they expected. But man, every time he pitches, there's like a little twinge of doubt in the back of my mind. I'm like, why is he doing this in Louisville again? He should be doing this up here.
People are going to be worked up after this start, Jeff. Now, you know, he gets to AAA. He goes 7 innings. He is, you know, this is really his 13th start of the season, right?
Second in AAA. Yeah.
His second in AAA, but it's his 13th start. I want to talk about the overall numbers and before we dive into this, just these 2 starts in Louisville. But his overall numbers for 2025, 7-3, a 1.77 ERA, 13 games started, 66 innings pitched, 89 strikeouts in those 66 innings. He has been absolutely dealing all season long. It's been success after success after success. 2 starts now at AAA Louisville, 12 and a third inning in those 2 starts. You got to love what you're seeing. To your point about what the Reds should do here, there's going to be a temptation somewhere along the way later in this season to get him up to the big leagues. I encourage the Reds front office to resist that temptation. Let him have this season in minor league baseball. Let him go through a full offseason of rest, recovery, rebuilding, strengthening, conditioning, and head into Goodyear ready to compete for a roster spot. Do not bring him up at any point in time this season and risk derailing the success that has clearly been built in his first professional year of pitching. The temptation is going to be there, Jeff. It's very easy to watch Wade Miley pitch a game and then look at Chase Burns and go, I think he's probably better than Wade.
Right.
It's going to be hard to resist that. Resist it. Resist it as long as you can.
Well, and you know, as much as we like to scratch our heads at some of the things that they say, the Reds front office knows this one fact that I'm about to say that I think a lot of us fans are still grasping and some of us fans have not grasped yet. But AAA hitting is different from major league hitting. There is a big gap. It is not one more step. It's not a triple to a home run. It's more like a single to a home run. If you really want to make a poor comparison, that's a poor comparison. I'm not going to lie, but I'm trying to make it seem simple here, because when you're talking about where major league hitters are, the pitches that he is throwing, they will be able to adjust to. So how does he adjust to their adjustments is going to be the key thing. I will say the one thing that I loved between his 2 AAA starts is that in the first one, he had 4 walks. In the second one, he had 0 walks. In fact, in his first AAA start, he walked the first 2 guys he faced. Those guys came around to score. And then he allows 1 run in this just on 3 hits, and none of them were the long ball. So you're talking about he did everything he possibly could to control everything he could possibly control. And I think that is a really good thing. I think he still needs to continue to show his ability to adjust and to pitch on a regular routine, because that's the other part of his overall statistics this year up into AAA. He was pitching every 6th day in Dayton and in Chattanooga. I think they are moving him to every 5th day now in Louisville to get him ready for a regular MLB grind. But for me, just that fact alone opens it up to the fact that he should pitch a few more times at least before anybody considers anything about bringing him up to Cincinnati. And I still think it should be September at the earliest.
Yeah, they gave him 3 starts in Dayton, which seems reasonable. Then they moved him on to Chattanooga, where he started 8 games. This is his 2nd start in Louisville. I need to see him face some adversity, and a couple of walks in a game. That's not the
AA, man. Yeah.
I need to see him face some adversity, but I'm with you. 10 starts at AAA, and then we see where his numbers are, and maybe reevaluate this stance. But I do truly feel the best thing for his development would be to not have to press to that next level. To have his first professional season without the extra stress on his arm of going up to the big leagues. Let him have the rest and recovery period in the offseason, go through strength and conditioning, and really face year 2 as a bona fide contender for a starting spot in the Cincinnati Reds rotation. I think that's the best way to bring him along. I think it's the smartest way to bring him along. Now, he could run into a Rhett Lauder situation where there just were no other options, and Rhett Lauder had to come up. If the Reds get to that point, well, then it would be silly not to bring him up. But as long as you can resist the temptation, because people are going to start already, and I don't blame him because he's looked great. He has mowed down everybody all along the way. But give it some time. Be smart about this. A little short-term patience for some real long-term gain and opportunity for this guy in the Reds rotation for a lot of years.
Like if we're talking about if they get this right, they call him up and he is just confident and ready to go, we're going to insert him into a rotation that next year could include Green, Lodolo, Burns, Abbott, and Lauder.
Yep.
That is super exciting. And
that doesn't even address Williamson and Aguiar coming back. So
Williamson, Aguiar, I mean, you'll still have Brady Singer for one more year of team control. Might be a good reason to trade him. We don't. I'm not. That's a thought
hashtag,
for down the road.
There's a hashtag.
But I still think that like there's just so much about this. I think the Reds need to continue to play the development game with him, and I think they are. I mean, Derek Johnson knows. I don't know if anybody saw the picture that I tweeted last night. There was this great camera shot of him in the dugout, and there's like this shade on his face as he was watching Nick Lodolo. And I just got those vibes of like, everything is proceeding as I have foreseen. And I think that he will continue that with Chase Burns because dude's got to play.
You really just can't help yourself, can you? Like, you just can't help yourself.
Well, when it comes to pitching in the Cincinnati Reds, I want Derek Johnson to be Emperor Palpatine because Emperor Palpatine had all the control over the galaxy for a long, long time. And as long as Derek Johnson,
everybody's logging off right now. Everybody's leaving. Oh my God. This is what I know, Jeff. Chase Burns is the real deal. He is proving it right now in his first professional year of baseball. The Reds have to be smart with how they use him, but everything we've seen so far from him says he's going to be a good one. And that is where we're going to go ahead and wrap up today's show. Thanks so much for making Locked On Reds your first listen each and every day. Click subscribe, click the notification bell, subscribe in the audio feeds. Take us with you wherever you're going. Jump over to the Locked On MLB feed. Check out Game Night. They're watching every game, so you don't have to. We'll be back in your feeds tomorrow as the Reds go for yet another sweep. And we'll be in your feeds with all the news, the notes, the information, the rumors, and the reports to keep you locked on Reds every single day.
Chance at another sweep, and the Reds haven't been swept yet themselves.
Have you ever not been able to work in a Star Wars reference like one time? Have we had one stinking show that you haven't been able to sneak it in?
Yeah, I think I made an Office reference that time.
I beat you to it one time, and God,